Hello everyone, this is Selkek, also known as Paulaelia, and welcome to Democracy 3. This is a government sim game, and I personally really enjoy it. It might not make for the most exciting of videos, but I think we can have some fun with it if we play a bit unusually, as it were. So I will kind of describe things as we go along, so we're going to jump into a new game here. And so the first thing you need to do is decide which country you want to be the elected official of. So the starting options, you can get more with through Steam Workshop, but the starting base game options are UK, France, Germany, the United States, Canada, and Australia. And they each have slightly different issues that are wrong with them. The population is different, etc. The ratio of religious people to non-religious people to conservative to all of the different stats are kind of based upon the countries in real life, and so depending on which one you choose, you get a slightly different outcome. Now, the main quote-unquote goal of the game is to continue to be re-elected and kind of improve your country's standings. Obviously, you need to be re-elected if you want to continue to play. A country like America, for example, the president has a limit of 2 terms, so you can only be re-elected once. So there is kind of like an end game if you're playing as the United States. But other countries don't have such limits, and you can be re-elected over and over and over again as many times as you want. Likewise, in the United States, the president serves 4 terms. They could also serve, or 4 years, I mean. They could also serve 5 years. They could serve 3 years. There's differences you have to take into account, and you can customize them if you wanted to, or you can just play with the defaults for that country. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna pick Canada. Let's play as Canada. So here's some just general stats: the moose population of Canada, the maple syrup consumption per person. So if we play as Canada here, so you can see here Canada has a 5-year term length. So you get elected for 5 years, and there's no limit, so you can be re-elected as many times as you want. Canada is a monarchy. They are under the Queen. They do not have compulsory voting, so there is going to be a significant portion of the population that doesn't vote. Specifically, you can see here political apathy is at 41%. So 41% is not interested in politics, and so they will most likely not vote unless we change that, because we have the power to do so. Canada suffers from earthquakes and hurricanes from time to time. Difficulties 100%, innate socialism 100%, innate liberalism 100%. You can tweak those all you want. You can change these, and you can pick party names. You can pick from the list, or you can rate your own. We'll get into that in a second. I just want to outline my plan. So for my first playthrough in this game, I'm planning on doing a couple different ones. I kind of want to play this Canada as a bit of a kind of sucking up politician. I don't necessarily want to fix all the problems. I just want to be kind of re-elected and kind of then push forward my agenda. And my agenda is going to be to kind of build up a more capitalist base in Canada, I think. Kind of appeal to the richer people, not so much to the everyday person, if that makes sense. And we'll get into how I'm going to tweak things a bit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick a name. I'm going to pick one that just, can be called whatever. You know what? We're going to make our own name. We are going to be the Selkek Party. And our opposition name is going to be the Everyone Else Party. So it's going to be us, Selkek. Let's change this. Let's make this the YouTube Party, YouTube with a capital T Party, and the Everyone Else Party. So there we go. It's going to be us, meaning, well, me mostly because I'm going to be the one making all the decisions, and you guys. And so let's just play. So here we go. It's loading up some Canada. And here we go. Click to return to government. Congratulations on your election victory. Welcome to your new job as Prime Minister. The lives of all 33.476 million citizens are now in your hands. As you imagine, there are a number of situations and concerns that you will need to deal with as soon as possible while keeping an eye on the long-term improvement of our citizens' quality of life. Plus, do not forget that you face re-election in 5 years, so you will need to monitor the opinion polls and our party membership. Good luck. So, these are the 6 big categories upon which your country is graded. The GDP is your economy, basically, in a nutshell. And our economy, as you can see, it's not great. It's not great. Health, also not so great. Education, good. Canada's got some good schools. Unemployment, we're in the middle ground. And this is one, we're going to be about unemployment. Again, we're pandering to the rich, the powerful, etc. Crime, high. Poverty, and again, we don't really need to fix that. As long as we can keep people happy enough with our kind of vague promises of things, we'll be good. So let's begin. Here is the interface. This is the entire game right here, 100%. If this looks confusing to you, I'm going to try my best to explain it. If this looks extremely boring to you and you were hoping for action-packed scenes of things and 3D graphics, well, you might want to click over and watch something else, just because this is the game. So each of the bubbles represents a different thing. A red bubble is a bad thing. Like right here, this is organized crime. That's a bad thing. The blue things are things you can't change. They're like information snippets. So this is violent crime. Violent crime is a thing. It's a fact of our society, basically. Like, it takes a whole bunch of everything to get rid of violent crime. Likewise, over here, as you saw, this is tourism. This is the environment over here. And so these are things you can't change. The white bubbles are things you can change. So this is creationism versus evolution. So if I click into this, I have a slider here so I can adjust the difference of whether we're teaching creationism or we're teaching evolution. Over here is our tax bracket. So there's a tobacco tax, 30% right now, which is, and then these are the effects of this thing. So tobacco tax is negatively affecting everyone. It's increasing poverty a little bit because poor people who smoke have to pay this tax. It is decreasing equality just a tiny bit, and it is heavily decreasing tobacco usage. So there's that. These fists right here, this is your political power. And this is the cost. So to raise this tax, it costs 27 fists. To lower it costs 10, and to cancel it outright costs 20. And we have 25 at the moment. So clicking on these fists, this is our cabinet of ministers, and each minister gives us a set number of points. The higher the points, the better. Obviously, so our economy and our transport minister here, Emily Shen and Emily Bergeron. So the Emilys are against us somewhat. You can see here that their loyalty is kind of low. She's kind of inexperienced. She's even less experienced, but she's a little more loyal, which is why she's generating a bit more points. And then someone here like Ocean, I don't know how to pronounce that, is extremely loyal unless we get lots of points from her, etc., etc., etc. And the longer they stay in the cabinet, they gain experience, blah, blah, blah. But their sympathies here, like this lady, Maya Scott, is sympathetic to self-employed people and parents. So if the self-employed people and the parents in our country get unhappy, she becomes less loyal to us because we're kind of like, hurting the people that she reflects. And if you hover over anything, you see all the things that affect it. So red arrows are bad, green arrows are good, and the direction of the arrow denotes whether it's a cause or an effect. So you can see here that the oil demand is having a positive effect. You can see the arrows leaving oil demand, heading up to oil price. That means oil demand is affecting oil price, whereas like things like the GDP and energy efficiency are affecting oil demand because the arrows are flowing into oil demand. So that's that. So basically what we got to do is we got to adjust the white bubbles. We can add white bubbles, we can remove white bubbles, but we adjust the bubbles so that we get rid of the red bubbles. We can get green bubbles. If you're really good at this game, you can get a couple green bubbles. Of those are like positive things. But that's it. That's all we're going to be doing. Is we're just going to be tweaking the government a bit, and then progressing to the next quarter of the year. The game is measured in 3-month blocks of time. So we have 20 turns until our next election. And as you can see here, our popularity is currently at 14.25%. So that is not so good. We need to raise that significantly. And you can see here, the religious really dislike us because we have legalized gambling, legalized prostitution, and we have an abortion law in effect. And as you can see here, the wealthy also don't like us, and these are the people we want to pander to. We want the wealthy to be awesome on our side. But you can see here that the retired people are really happy with us because we have state health services, we have nice public libraries, we have state pensions, we also have private pensions in place. The state pensions and the private pensions work together, but they're also a little put off by things like violent crime, inheritance tax, property tax, etc. So you can see here at the top, our current national income is $83.65 billion, and we're spending $86.18 billion, which means that as we progress, we will be slowly working into a debt. But we need to start making some decisions here about what we want to do. So I want to first take a look at the wealthy and see what it is they don't like. Alright, they don't like a whole bunch of tax. We're not going to affect the tax right away. We need to stabilize things first, kind of get into the groove of things before we make any adjustments to our income. So let's take a look at that public health service here. Public health service is extremely popular with the voters. It helps the poor, but the capitalists and the wealthy don't like it. Socialists like it. It positively affects the health of our country. It helps the retired people. It hurts the unemployed people. State employees like it. It increases state employee membership and state employee income. It also increases the membership of the socialism group, and it severely limits the private healthcare group. Unfortunately, we do not have the political power to lower this. We're missing 1 point. All we can do is raise it, and you can see here that if I raise this bar, it's going to upset the capitalists even more. So maybe starting with the wealthy isn't the wealthy and the capitalists isn't the best thing to do. Capitalists are up here. They're kind of middle ground. There's a whole bunch of things that the capitalists don't like and that the capitalists do like. So let's we've got an uncompetitive economy over here. You can see that this is our productivity is rather low. So our productivity should be higher, and these are all the things that are causing our productivity. Red things are lowering our productivity, green things are raising our productivity. So if we could increase our productivity, that would get rid of the uncompetitive economy, which in turn would help our GDP. As you can see, alcohol consumption hurts it, unemployment hurts it, our health hurts it. We are suffering from obesity and from an asthma epidemic, so our health is not great. Which leads me to... Alright, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at our... we can't lower this to health. Is there anything else health-wise we can look at? Private healthcare is crap. We could get rid of that, or get rid of the thing. Let's take a look at this abortion law. So right now, abortion law is that you can have on-demand abortions here in Canada. You can just go to a clinic, go to a doctor, and be like, I do not want to have this baby, and bam, done, whatever. It's in the gray area here for the country, so it's not strongly one way or the other about it. But you can see here that this is a really big issue for the religious people, and it is a somewhat large issue for the conservatives. So I think if we knock this down, knocking this down to just 2 doctors' approval, look at you can see this highlighted thing for the religious people. Huge improvement for the religious people, no change at all for the liberals, and a significant drop for the conservatives. So if we knock this down one more to limited circumstances, conservatives, it won't affect them at all. It'll make the religious people happy, and it will also make the liberals, they'll stay happy. They'll be less happy, but they'll still be fine. I think this is a pretty good change to start with for improving our stance with the religious people. Right now, the religious people are a huge detraction from our popularity. So let's go ahead and confirm this. And it will take some time. So you can see here, it'll take 1 day to implement. Or not 1 day, 1 quarter to implement. And so our religious, let's take a look at this. 28% of our population is religious, and this is by far the biggest issue they have with us, with legalized prostitution being there. And legalized prostitution, if we take a look at this, you can also see is hurting organized crime, but it's also hurting the conservatives, and it's hurting parents. If we take a look at organized crime, you can see that organized crime is rather high, because we have gambling. Gambling is a big thing for organized crime. If we take a look at gambling, big bonus for organized crime. We can move this. We don't have enough points. We only have 6 points at the moment. If you can see, if there's no restrictions, organized crime is huge. Likewise, we can drop this down to basically nothing, or we could flat out cancel it. I don't think we're going to have enough political points to flat out cancel it. So maybe putting huge restrictions on our national gambling is the right path to go. We'll see. Let's click the next button. So after every turn, after every round, you get this, the quarterly report. So this shows we've had no changes to anything so far because we've only made one little change. We're running a minor budget deficit of 1.79 billion, but this is not a major cause for concern. It's only 1.79 billion. And this is an urgent policy question that requires immediate attention, the debt protection law. Debt collection agencies have been in the news because of the aggressive methods they are using to extract payment from people who owe large sums of money. These debt collection agencies provide credit to people whom larger, more respectable companies will not lend money. A law is proposed to limit the ways in which such agencies can operate. So these agencies are preying on the weakest and the poorest in our society. As I stated before, we don't really care about those people in our society. So as this says, allow the agencies to operate. Nobody forces people to borrow money they can't repay, and restrict the rights of debt agencies to recover legitimate debts that would be counterproductive. I mean, these are legitimate companies. The people that are borrowing this money can't pay it back. I mean, that's their fault. They should not be taking loans if they cannot pay it back. People need to learn to live within their means and not expect the state to bail them out of trouble if they cannot learn to do so. You go and say, I need to borrow $100,000, and the agency says, all right, well, you're going to have 2 years, and you have to pay back the full $100,000. And over the 2 years, you only pay back like $50,000, $60,000 of the $100,000. They are well within their rights to be like, hey, government, these people made us a deal. We gave them the money up front, and they did not pay us back. We're gonna side with the company on this one. We're gonna say they have full right to do so. The cabinet report here that are described as loyal, and their effectiveness is generally considered to be passable. So they're not great. We do have those few mistakes on our team. Our approval polls have gone up. We're 22% of the vote. And this security briefing, if I click on this, this is the intelligence briefing. These are groups that may threaten us. Specifically, you can see these ones with the guns. These are the bad ones. So if, say, the Revolutionary Army started gaining some members and started gaining some threat, that would be quite bad. And you can see our security is poor. And if the threats get too high, they might attempt to assassinate us. So you can see the religious is on the rise. Look at this spike. Boosh! Because they're now happy with the abortion law. Alright, so let's take a look. The legalized prostitution is unpopular with voters, and it would we have 31 fist points this turn. Excellent. So we could cancel this outright if we wanted to. We would lose these little bits of happiness, but we would also lose all of this redness. What was the other one we wanted to look at? Gambling. We're 1 point away. We can't get rid of gambling. Lower it is 14. How much was it to cancel legalized prostitution? 25. So we can't do both. Actually, right now, legalized prostitution is set to none. So technically, it's at none. But it's still, the fact that it's in the law as potentially we could have it is upsetting the religious people. I think, though, the getting a handle, we don't want organized crime. We're not pandering to the organized criminals. We want to pander to the wealthy people. So I do think, why can we not? We can't cancel gambling. So we will just do this. We'll lower it all the way. That will set the organized crime at 0. Hopefully we'll start dropping organized crime. We want to get rid of that. So let's go ahead and apply the changes. We have 17 fist points. Alright, so the conservatives, it is on the way up. You can see conservatives like things like CCTV cameras. They like police force. Let's take a look. How's our police force doing? Police force is doing pretty okay. Pretty okay. It costs quite a bit of money. We have wiretapping with government decree at the moment. We can't raise it, but as you can see, if you were to raise it up, it would cost significantly more. Well, this is still in the millions, and it would hinder organized crime. So there's that. There is also intelligence services, which affects the organized crime. It also affects crime. It helps make the patriots feel better. So let's see the liberals. 50% of our country is liberal. All right. 77% of our culture considers themselves to be socialist, and thankfully the socialists like us. 22% of our country is capitalist. Only 27% is patriotic. What about wealthy? Yeah, 23%. And the conservatives, good 50%. We really need get these guys happy with us. Right now, they don't like the vigilante mobs. They don't like antisocial behavior, and they really don't like the legalized prostitution. So legalized prostitution is going to have to go, for sure. But we still have 17 points. I'm thinking we should raise our intelligence services up a bit to high-tech spy service. Maybe to $2 billion a quarter. Oh, I guess it's the spy satellite network. Liberals are happy with us at the moment, right? They're okay. They're okay. Maybe not raise that so much. Armed police are in every department. All right. We have handgun laws as well. If we enact higher handgun laws, it affects the membership of the liberals as well. But we'll leave this as fine. Let's take a look at the vigilante mobs. So high amounts of crime is really pushing up the vigilante mobs. So we really need to lower crime. Let's take a look at these CCTV cameras. The CCTV cameras will really help with the antisocial behavior. Yeah, I think we're gonna do this. So the CCTV cameras. Well, there's an alcohol law as well. That would. Right now, because you can legally drink at age 18, there's violent crime based around it. Well, we could no, raising it costs 13 man points. That's quite a bit. Let's take a look. There are intelligence services. You know what? Let's do the CCTV cameras. I think that's going to be a good bet. So we'll bump it up to 800 million every street corner. So it'll be a CCTV camera on every street corner. It's not going to really sway voters too much. It's going to take 2 terms to implement, so that would be great. We'll go ahead and apply those. We've got 8 points left. So what could we do with those 8 points? Let's take a look. So we can enact new policies here. Community policing is a pretty good one. All these red ones are too expensive for us to purchase. Community policing, you spend a little bit of money, and the police, as it says here, working with the community rather than attempting to control it. Community policing encourages the police to better understand the needs of the local community, especially in areas with ethnic minorities. Critics see it as an expensive waste of money, which could be better spent on more direct methods to cut crime. It is a really good idea if you need to cut crime quickly. But then again, we're not really interested in the major population of the community. We just want to, pander to our wealthy people. So we're more interested in doing things like implementing the death penalty and having gated communities. See, gated communities is super popular with voters. So maybe we'll get gated communities when we have the political points to do so. Anyway, we're not going to spend those 8 points. It doesn't hurt to waste them. Alright, no big changes to our main 6 stats. There is an oil drilling opportunity. And we're still running a little budget deficit. So let's take a look at the oil drilling opportunity. Oil companies are keen to get permission to drill for oil in parts of the country protected as wildlife refuge. Oil supplies under the refuge are considerable, but the drilling would have a negative impact on the environment. We do have a pollution issue, and we don't want to pollute all of our wealthy neighborhoods. After all, all of our rich mansions back up to this wildlife refuge. We don't want to be, having our nice expensive mansions back up to an oil drilling. So I'm going to go ahead and say no to oil drilling. Like that. Alrighty. And I think I'm going to cut this off as episode 1. And we can continue next time, guys, changing things around. So I will see you guys next time.